Hello, my name is Michael and welcome to this week's full unofficial patch notes. Let's start with ninja fixes for this week. Players can now wear the Vireling, Viregrunt, Virewatch and Virelord/Virelady titles without having to wear the Darkmire disguise. You can now benefit from the Varrock armor smithing bonus when wearing a blacksmith stop, assuming you've completed the respective achievement diary. The captain's log will now teleport you directly into your port. The light creatures in Tears of Gothic's cave now have a right-click option to choose to take you either across or into the chasm. Let's move on to quest challenges and achievements. A spelling error in Lady Mailer's dialogue during Plague's End has been fixed. An issue with Red Revolution being unable to be completed if a player has finished Plague's End has been fixed. Some mourners and slave workers in the Temple of Light's tunnels are no longer present after the completion of Plague's End. Some post-quest chat has been added to Farmer Rumpty, General Heining and Gwar after Plague's End has been added. Players are now able to receive a crystal trinket after completing Plague's End. Some wording interfaces during the quest Plague's End has been adjusted. Lady Heathen and Lord Chris will no longer disappear when multiple players are interacting with them at the same time. Plague's End will now correctly reward 2 treasure hunter keys and will now appear on the adventure log after completion. The magic tutorial in Bloodpact, while on the path system, no longer triggers if you have a high-level magic spell set to autocast. The spelling of Traherne has been corrected on the interfaces called by checking the exoskeleton reward from Plague's End. Some unneeded capitalization of dialogue during Plague's End has been removed. A typo when adding the Ring of Dueling to the action bar has been fixed. A typo in Eastern Discovery Book has been fixed. Okay, so let's move on to skills, D&Ds and minigames. The trimmed summoning cape now boosts your levels correctly. Snapegrass is now teleported to your bank by Signs of the Potter when it's picked up, rather than when it's harvested from a farming patch. The life points listed in the description for the Rocktail soup scroll now matches the new value. An interface issue with the Cure Plant option in a Livid Farm has been fixed. The healing stats of Haim Crab Potato in Dungeoneering have been corrected. Celestial Dragons no longer get bored of fighting after freezing players in time. The XP skill interface will no longer highlight the last selected item when opened. Recharging the Scepter of Gods now uses the correct amount of jeweled and gold artifices. Players may now opt to pay the Zombie Farmer for crop protection, while the Greenfinger's aura is active. The Exterminator no longer makes you sheath your weapons if you had them unsheathed in Legacy mode. Tagging monsters during Slayer assignments with a partner no longer counts as 2 kills. Some misleading text when you kill somebody with warbands items in your inventory has been reworded. You can now obtain another Scepter of Gods if you have one keepsaked. Malignius Mortifier no longer offers the player a brown apron in order to enter the crafting guild. Next up is legacy fixes. Your combat level displayed in the hero interface will no longer have a duplicate reference next to it. Casting Vengeance will no longer delay auto attacks. The damage from Ketzek has been reduced to much closer to the original. The FPS display has been moved slightly to the left. Okay, so let's move on to this week's special fixes. The Araxyte Hive. Acidic spiders will no longer spawn underneath Araxor. Damage from Araxor's cocoon move will no longer hit the player when moving into phase 4. Spiders that attack the graves within the Araxyte graveyard have been told off and sent home. When being cleaved on the acid ramp in Tunnel 2, you will no longer get moved onto an invalid tile. The cocooned body outside the cave will now tell you what tunnels are open. Okay, let's move on to graphical fixes for this week. The autocast highlight box should now appear again with offhand spells selected. The water fountains in Edgeville Monastery have been fixed and the water now flows in the right direction. Max will be using updated animations and not legacy ones. Major stretching in the Infernal Mage's attack animation has been fixed. The Ivandis flail is now held in 2 hands during combat and has the correct animation. Bloodvelts in the Slayer Tower, God Wars and Mauritania's Underground have now had their models updated. The trial announcer outside the Grand Exchange no longer clips into the box he was standing on. Some old squirrel models have been updated, yay. New poles will now highlight correctly whilst in legacy mode. A small issue where players could see parts of Plague's end from the Araxyte Hive has been fixed. An issue with the ranged skill abilities interface that was causing an incorrect button to appear when scaled down to small size has been fixed. An issue with ribbon pull-out menus opening in the wrong direction have been fixed. Models for the Hellhounds in player-owned houses have now been updated. Okay, so we have only one engine fix for this week, and it's pretty strange. A fix has been applied to correct overly large vegetables that have been growing for some players. Okay, so let's move on to other fixes for this week. The Cooking Skill Advanced Guide now says to use pizza dough to make pita bread, instead of bread dough. A typo when customizing ribbons has been fixed. The bug report interface will now allow the correct amount of characters when sending another bug report in the same session. Players will now receive a clear message if they for any reason cannot use a balloon to travel. Duke Horacio's lectern is no longer interactive. You can no longer attempt the use operation of an item that is considered to be an empty inventory slot. An error with the destroy message from the Ankh and Was has been fixed. The blocking around the Lumbridge windmill has been improved to reduce the risk of face-planting walls. What? All 6 versions of the Broken Heart can now be keepsaked. The Superior Visage may be switched from a special attack version to its passive version, and vice versa, by using them on the Bandos altar to match the Bandos God Sword. Cooked snails now give a more accurate health increase when consumed. Attack styles are saved in EOC and Legacy modes independently. Players can no longer use the legendary pet Scavenge ability to retrieve the fire feather from the Entrana Firebird. The volume of the audio for the Energy Condenser emote for the prototype Colossus has been increased. The animated armor in the Warriors Guild now has a weakness to Crush. An issue that did not let you use Quick Chat in the Guest Clan Chat tab has been fixed. Active scrimshaws and auras now display on the buffs/debuffs interface. The Bonds pouch now correctly opens if you do not have your inventory visible in Legacy mode. Tweaked green dragons to make sure they behave correctly in single-way wilderness. The correct warning is now displayed when attempting to drag Barrows items from the bank. You won't send achievement broadcasts anymore if you've set yourself to appear offline. The use of multiple stars interface will not appear if you have a prismatic and a non-prismatic star in your inventory. The clan avatar options are now accessible again from the summoning icon in Legacy mode. Okay, so we're done with this week's patches. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, all ratings and comments are appreciated, and I hope to see you again soon.